Hello, everybody. So we've got here a situation where a painter has so many units of dyes, two different colors of dye, and he has to make different colors of green by combining the green and the yellow dyes. It starts with, we have, the painter has 32 units of this yellow dye and 54 units of the green dye. Okay. Now, to make a gallon of chartreuse, you have to have 4 of the yellow and 1 of the green. But when he wants to make lime, it only takes 1 of the yellow and 6 of the green. So I want to know, with the supplies that he has, what's the most number of gallons of paint he can make. He wants to make chartreuse and lime paint, and to see how many he can make. So we're going to let X stand for the number of gallons of chartreuse and Y stand for the number of gallons of lime paint. So X, chartreuse, sometimes I just put it above the word, and Y, lime, and that helps me out a little bit. Now, the yellow dye, he has some limits because he only has 32 units of that. So his yellow, he can't have more than 32 of that. And the green, he can't have more than 54 of that. And in the real world, we know that this has to be positive. So this has to be greater than the X, the chartreuse has to be greater than or equal to 0, and the Y has to be greater than or equal to 0. So let's see here if we can make up some kind of chart that tells us about the number of each units of each color of dye that it takes to make yellow, whoops, sorry, I wanted to put the yellow up here, and then he has green dye. Now he wants to make chartreuse, that's what I want here, chartreuse and lime. So when he's making the chartreuse, I look back up here, and it says that it takes 4 yellow and 1 green. And then for the lime, it takes 1 yellow and 6 green. Excellent. So now I can look at my yellow column. I'll get a different color here. Let's do a blue. If I look at my yellow column, I can come up with an equation that says it would take 4 for the chartreuse. Remember, the chartreuse is X and the lime is Y. And 1 for the Y, lime. But altogether, this is my yellow, altogether I can't have more than 32. And then we'll use another color here, maybe a green for my green. So with the green, I can have 1 for the chartreuse, it takes 1, but it takes 6 to make the lime. And altogether, this is to make, altogether, I only have 54 units. So that's the maximum. Now I'm going to graph these problems, and I will see where they intersect and what my limits are. If you remember, when you have a problem like this and you want to graph it, you can let X equals 0 for that one right there. That meant Y would have to be 32. That would be my extreme. And when Y is 0, so this one's 0 now, then 4x would be less than or equal to 32, which means x would be 8. So I'm going to go ahead and graph 0, 32. Now that's way, your graph might be a little better, but that'd be way off my chart here somewhere. It'd probably even be up higher. And then 8, 0 is right here. So I'm going to have a line that goes something like this. Now I'm going to use darker green. For this one, you could put it in slope-intercept form too if you want. But when x is 0, 6y would be less than or equal to 54, so that would mean it would be 9. And when y is 0, then x would be less than or equal to 54. So once again, I'm way off my chart, way over here somewhere, and 0, 9, again, your graph might be a little better than this, but it would look something like this. Okay. Now the important thing is, what is that point right there? You should, if you use Desmos and get a little more exact, you should get 6, 8 for that point. This one is 0, 9, and this one is 8, 0. So now I've got my extremes, and remember, everything has to be less than both of these, so that would be this part right here. So those are my extreme points. So now I'm going to see how many gallons each one would be. So I have 0, 0. I always have this one. But that doesn't do me. If I can't make any paint, I'm not going to make any money. So I could do 8, 0, but then total, I just have 8 gallons. And I could do 0, 9, and then I would just have 9 gallons. But this other one, 6 and 8, that means I could make 14 gallons of paint and use the maximum number of each of the dyes to make those paints. So I would have 14 gallons would be the most amount. I could have 6 chartreuse and 8 lime, and I could think about that when I was trying to sell my paint, or maybe I'm a painter that I'm making my own, and so then I'm gonna just see what I can use for different jobs that I might have. And I can double check these. I could put them back into the equation, the 6 and the 8, back into this equation right here to start with. So 4 times 6 plus 8, is it less than or equal to 32? Well, in fact, it is equal to 32. So that's true. That'd be the maximum number I could have for that one. And then the other one says 1 times x, I said, was 6, plus 6 times 8. Is that less than or equal to 54? It's always a question mark here to see what, testing it. Well, this is 48 right here, plus another 6. Well, that would get me 54. So 54 does equal 54. So that's the maximum for that one. So I did good. So 14 gallons of paint. That's the most I could make with those dyes that I have in those combinations.